I think you'll get as big a thrill out of this film as I have, because you'll see every play that was important to us on the comeback from 14 games back. You'll see the playoffs with the Kansas City Royals, and the World Series. It indeed was the comeback of all time in professional sports.
Fenway Park, October 2nd, 1978. In the bottom of the 7th inning of the playoff game, the Red Sox led the Yankees 2-0. With 2 outs, Mike Torres delivers, and Bucky Dent fouls it off his foot. Ouch. Dent gets a little first aid, and everyone just has to wait. Chris Chambliss at second, Roy White at first. Nail-biting time. All right, Bucky's ready. Torres stretches, pitches, a high fly to left. Holy cow, a 3-run homer. Well, they couldn't believe it in Boston, but then who could believe the Yankees would make up 14 games in 1978? It was just that kind of year, the year of the greatest comeback ever.
Well, that had to be... Of course, the dramatic playoff victory was only part of the Yankees' story. Go back to spring training, when everybody had picked the Yankees to repeat. The Yankees had strengthened themselves with the addition of Rich Gossage as their bullpen ace. And the one question was, would certain individuals be able to get along well enough to pull off another world championship?
I don't have any ill feelings, toward anyone. Everyone thinks Reggie and I hate each other. That's not so at all, and, we don't have any problems. It's funny. When you have a lot of talent and you have a lot of real good players, and, when you played, you just don't get 25 guys that you get along with all of them. So if you don't get along with a couple of them, it doesn't make any difference. You're going to get out and play like hell anyway.
To me, baseball is something I love. It is a sport, and it is a game that I play, but it is my job, and I need to do it to perfection as a professional. So when I'm playing baseball, especially when it counts, I'm not... the hell with Reggie Jackson that is gracious and sweet. Get it done now.
The Yanks had gotten the job done in '77 and were now prepared to do it again. Opening day at the stadium celebrated the Yankees' return to power as world champ. Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris were there to raise the championship flag. And Reggie Jackson was there to help win another one. In his first at-bat, with 2 on against the White Sox, Reggie did his thing. Counting the 3 homers he hit in the last game of the World Series, it was Reggie's 4th home run in his last 4 swings at Yankee Stadium. It gave the Yanks a 4-2 win and was a fitting debut for Reggie and the Reggie Candy Bar. The complimentary bars proved to be handy candy for the occasion as the field was splattered in a sea of orange. The Yanks looked loose early in the season. Though they never gained first place, they managed to stay close, but there were some problems. Sparky Lyle wasn't happy about the big contract of his bullpen rival, Rich Gossage. And the Goose was having trouble saving ball games. This one was a real shocker. Amos Otis, the batter. The Goose protecting a 1-run lead with 2 out in the bottom of the 9th in Kansas City. Paul Blair seemingly makes a great catch, but collides with Reggie Jackson. The runner on first comes around to score, and then so does Amos Otis. A game-winning inside the park homer on what looked like the final out. It happened in mid-May and was a sign of things to come. Unexpected losses accompanied by a long list of injuries. In June, Yankee casualties became epidemic. Unseasoned recruits rushed up from the minors to fill in for hobbled veterans. While the Yankees floundered, the Boston Red Sox were busting out all over. The Yanks trailed Boston by 7 games when they had their first head-to-head meeting in late June, and then the Red Sox proceeded to set them still further back, taking 3 out of 5 in 2 series to drop the Yankees 9 games out. The Red Sox simply embarrassed their rivals, especially youngsters like rookie starter Jim Beattie. After being devoured by Boston bats, a tearful Jim Beattie was forced to make a hasty exit to the minors for some special instructions under pitching coach Clyde King. Showing of the once proud Yankee ace Catfish Hunter. For 2 years he'd struggled with a bad shoulder, but now the pain that came with every pitch had apparently triumphed. Barring an unforeseen miracle, Catfish claimed he just couldn't throw the baseball anymore. Nearly every day seemed to bring another piece of bad news, except every fifth day when this young man took the mound. Ron Guidry was still undefeated in mid-June and was the talk of all baseball. On June 17th, while on his way to a Yankee record of 13 straight victories without a defeat, Guidry struck out 18 California Angels, only one shy of the Major League record. The thrilled crowd stayed and cheered for its man to take a bow. If it was to be a lost season for the Yankees, at least Ron Guidry could give New York reason to cheer.
Well, you know, Bucky, remember on July 17th, that was a memorable day for the Yankees because they lost a tough ball game to the Kansas City Royals, 9-7 in 11 innings. And that dropped the Yankees 14 games behind the Red Sox. A lot of other things happened then, too. Reggie Jackson, if you remember, defying Billy Martin's orders not to bunt, bunted and fouled a pitch off and struck out. Reggie was later fined and suspended for 5 days. And then, of course, one of the most unfortunate things, Billy Martin's off-the-cuff comments, which he regretted the moment they were out of his mouth. And then on July 23rd, it was the exit for Billy Martin. And it was one of the saddest days, I'm sure, in Billy Martin's life as a ball player and as manager of the Yankees.
I would like to thank the Yankee management, the press, the news media, my coaches, my players, and most of all,
The sudden departure of Billy Martin left everybody stunned, especially a vast army of Yankee fans and some very loyal players.
Billy Martin has always been great to me. We've always had a nice relationship. I believe that he's always done, what he could for the ball club and for the fellas. And, I just think that most of the guys respect him. And, a little bit sad that the situation ended like it did.
Well, Reg and him had a little squabble and everything, and two wrongs don't make a right. But I think Billy Martin is the type of manager that stood up and stands for what the Yankees means.
Billy was gone, but Reggie Jackson still had to face the test of coming back under tense circumstances.
For the way that they have interpreted the offense, and apologies and whatever, but the way I've interpreted the offense, I don't really feel I did anything wrong, But, I'm sorry I caused the guys on the club grief.
I just think, if he just get in the lineup and let his bat and glove do the talking.
One thing you have to say about Reggie Jackson, if he helped stir up Yankee turmoil, he also helped everyone forget it. Like Catfish said, by letting his bat do the talking. In his first week back, Reggie hit close to 600 and helped the Yankees move still a little closer to Boston. Potential jeers quickly became cheers. But the year of the Yankee comeback had only begun. Later in that same week, former Yankee came to the stadium for Old-Timers Day, including an unexpected guest, Billy Martin. And who could have expected the announcement that followed only 5 days after his tearful resignation? Billy would return as Yankee manager in 1980 to the thousands of delighted Billy Martin fans. This had to be news from Hollywood, not New York. In fact, both Martin and owner George Steinbrenner seemed as surprised as anyone, as if they just won an Academy Award no one dreamed existed.
I quit, and the other day, I called George and told him how I apologize for what was said. I did say it. I don't know why I said it. I was angered at the time. I had no reason to say it. And I feel very bad about it.
Billy Martin came to me after he had resigned. What he said to me showed me that he was a man who realized that he had maybe made a small mistake, and it was small in the total picture.
I'm a free spirit, and I'm going to try to do other things that George wants me to do. And at the same time, he says he's going to try to be a little more free spirit, too.
And so the free spirit of Billy the Kid would be back in 1980. But 1978 was now the responsibility of former Cleveland pitching great Bob Lemon. Contrast between the two were immediate and obvious. Billy was, of course, the scrapper, a man who'd fight and shout his way to any advantage he could get.
Hard enough for me.
Don't you be intimidating me.
I'm not intimidating you.
Don't you be intimidating me.
I'm not intimidating you, but I'm going to tell you something. As far as I'm concerned, he won enough.
Well, that's good enough for me.
Okay.
But sometimes get some help on it, too, all right?
All right, buddy.
That's the rule.
Bob Lemon was just the opposite, the quiet man. Why stir up trouble when you've got the talent? The game is full of noted conversationalists. But Bob Lemon, he just kept it all under his hat. After all, these are the kind of prayers that are never answered. Not by the men in blue, and never at the drop of a hat. Words, words, words. On for a philosophic bystander who'd seen it all for 34 years. Teams struggled, some managers went bats, but the quiet man's troops kept creeping up steadily and silently.
There was no question about it. They were very important ball games. But Bob Lemon, true to his character, kept things in their proper perspective.
Well, every game is important now. We play Boston, then we play Baltimore, and then we play Milwaukee, so they're all important. We're all right there together. But it isn't critical. We have 9 games left with Boston, and anything can happen.
How true it was. After spotting New York a 5-run lead in the first 3 innings, Boston tied it up as Goose Gossage twice forced in runs with bases-loaded walks. The Boston bullpen then froze numerous Yankee threats in extra innings, including a final one in the 14th, after which the game was suspended due to curfew. "19 hours later, the game resumed, and the Red Sox won it in the 17th inning, and then also won the regularly scheduled game 8-1. Suddenly, the Yankees were backpedaling. A few days later in Baltimore, some rain and a dubious call of the game really put the damper on. After trailing 3-0, Bob Lemon's men scored 5 runs in the 7th to take the lead, but the umpires quickly called the game. The score thus reverted to a 3-0 Oriole victory, setting the Yankees 9 games out. Still, the quiet man wouldn't panic.
This couple of nights are the first time we've had anything close to the regular lineup in there, the ones that won the championship last year. So if we can get everybody healthy, our pitching seems to be coming around, and we catfish through last night. He looked like he did in 76 when I was here.
A miraculous shoulder manipulation had brought Catfish Hunter back, all the way back to the form that had made him one of baseball's top pitchers. If the Cat could come back within 2 months of near retirement, why not the Yankees? They were now healthy and together.
We got the team to do it with. The only thing, we got to put everything together. We got to keep the ball players pulling for each other. Got to keep them from fighting. And when you get out there on the field and you play for one another instead of by yourself and try to just play for yourself, that's when you become winners.
Someone must have heard something. On August 14th, the Yanks made their final bid to turn a season around. Come together like a crystal, still led by the sparkling left arm and diamond glove of Ron Gidner. With a 22 record in the first week of September, Louisiana Lightning was still scorching, but now so were other pitchers, like Hunter, Figueroa, and Tidrow. And out of the bullpen, Goose Gossage was cooking. On September 3rd, with 2 Seattle Mariners in scoring position in the 9th inning, the Goose came in to protect a 1-run lead and did just that, with 3 consecutive strikeouts. New York was now consumed in a full blaze of pennant fever. Boston was wilting, its lead was melting, and as the 2 teams looked ahead to a big 4-game meeting up at Fenway Park, the word around the league was that Bob Lemon's crew was smoking. Sox were hurting and losing, but whatever their problems were, choke was one word they were not about to use.
Well, choke is not in my vocabulary. A slump is. I've seen ball players go into slumps, and the minute somebody goes into a slump, if a guy goes in a slump and you're on a 2nd division ball club, you never hear the word choke. But the minute you're fighting for a pennant and a guy goes into a slump, or a team goes into the slump, the team choked. I think that's ridiculous.
You can tell when a team's choking. They look nervous, you know. They just lose their aggressiveness. They've become pretty passive. They don't say much. But that's not the atmosphere of this club.
No thing is choke. You know, you can easily go out there and you're not playing aggressive ball. That's not choking. But when the guys just walk off the field and give up, that's choking. To me, that's, they just don't want to play.
The word choke? Yeah, the word choke is in my vocabulary when you catch somebody around the neck and choke them.
But now on September 7th at Fenway Park, the Yankees finally had an opportunity to catch Boston around the neck and do just the kind of choking George Scott was talking about. 4 games out, 4 games to play. An opportunity just too good to pass up. The Yanks got serious in a hurry. In the first game, 2 runs in the first, 3 in the second, 2 in the third, 5 in the fourth, 15 runs and 21 hits altogether. A complete blowout. The hitting orgy was nonstop for 4 straight days. New York didn't use the long ball, just a free-swinging singles party that left Boston stunned, if not outraged. 67 hits to the Red Sox 21, 42 runs to Boston's 9, a .396 team batting average to the Sox 171. It was so lopsided, Billy Randolph went 3 for 3 in one game, and Thurman Munson 3 for 3 in another, before Boston's number 9 hitter even got to bat. Question was, which bad news would you like to hear next? On defense, the Sox were more than generous. The 2 teams had switched roles since midsummer. Now it was Boston that was injured, frustrated, and demoralized. While the series was still going on, someone cracked, the Red Sox may be in first place, but they're chasing the Yankees now. In one game alone, 7 Boston errors. In boxing, they show more mercy. When you're roughed up badly, they call the fight. The Red Sox had to endure while the Yankees played near flawless baseball. Into a tie for first place, their first time there all season. Ron Guidry did his part with a strong 2-hit shutout. And 1 week later, Act 2 of the New York-Boston showdown opened at Yankee Stadium with Guidry once again on the mound, and once again he pitched a 2-hit shutout. Louisiana Lightning was now at the peak of his game, and the Yankees were now on top of the Sox by 2.5 games. The next day, with the score tied in the bottom of the 9th, Mickey Rivers made his bid to stretch that lead to 3.5. Mick the Quick played most of '78 with an injured leg. but he certainly contributed his share in September. So did Thurm Munson, also playing with Payne, who got Rivers home with the winning run. Times had changed. Both Yankee and Red Sox fans alike had little difficulty describing how they felt about their sudden turn of fortune.
What's it like? Well, I guess it would be like being stranded on a desert island with Jacqueline Smith, really. I mean, things like this come around once in a lifetime.
Thinking that you have the lottery, and then all of a sudden you find out the wrong numbers were reported or something. I don't know.
Oh, God, it's like winning $1 million in a lottery.
Maybe death. Death would be about it. The closest thing that you could come to.
Oh, it's like being reborn again.
I think the emotion is extreme depression. Extreme depression. Ecstasy.
But September turned out to be anything but ecstatic. After being hunted by the Yankees, the Red Sox caught fire and began to do some hunting of their own. They closed the gap to 1 game as the two teams began a dance of death in the final week. With 2 games left in the season, Ed Figueroa shut out Cleveland to protect the 1-game lead and assure the Yankees a tie. Figgy also realized a lifetime ambition as he became the first native Puerto Rican to win 20 games in a season. But when the Yanks went for the clincher the next day, lefty Rick Waits closed the door with a 9-2 Cleveland victory. It was the news they'd waited for all week long up at Fenway Park. The Yankees had finally lost one. Louis Tiant put Toronto to rest with a 2-hit shutout, and Boston had made a comeback of its own. For only the second time in American League history, 2 teams finished in a tie for first. They'd play 1 game at Fenway Park to finally settle which team was better.
That's the story, and win or lose, Bob Lemon was prepared. Ron Guidry was going to pitch this ball game no matter what.
With a 24-3 record, the Yankees had the best pitcher in baseball on the mound. But Guidry had to fight exhaustion from a long, tough season. Mike Torres, the man who helped pitch the Yankees to the World Series the year before, was out to stop them this time, and he was tough. The Yankees managed only 2 hits over the first 6 innings. In the second inning, Boston's great veteran Carl Yastrzemski pulled a Guidry fastball inside the foul pole. Fenway Park erupted. The Red Sox led 1-0. Tension mounted with every inning. In the bottom of the 6th, Boston made it 2-0, and with 2 on, Fred Lynn made a bid for more. But Lou Piniella, fighting a blinding sun, made the inning-ending catch. It turned the game around. In the top of the 7th, the Yanks finally began to make progress off Torres, who had been tormenting them all afternoon. With 2 on and 2 out, Bucky Dent fouled a pitch off his foot. Like Bucky explained earlier, it was a fortunate break in the action because it gave him a chance to exchange his crack bat for Mickey Rivers' solid stick of lumber. And with his new bat, Bucky made the most of it. What a sight! A 3-run homer, one that could only have been hit in Fenway Park. The Yankees suddenly led 3-2 in a vast sea of silence. Just like Brooklyn will never forget the name of Bobby Thompson, so Boston will have a tough time forgetting the name of Bucky Dent. The Red Sox was staggered by the blow. The Yankees added another run that inning, and in the 8th, Reggie Jackson made it 5-2. For Boston, time appeared to be running out. But this game refused to be easy. In the bottom of the 8th, the Sox picked themselves up against Goose Gossage and rallied for 2 runs. That made it 5-4, a 1-run ball game, and once again, bedlam in Boston. Now in the bottom of the 9th, the Yankees were desperately trying to hold off the Boston attack. Rick Burke Carlson had walked with one out, and Jerry Remy followed with a shot to right. This had to be the play of the year. Lou Piniella is completely blinded by the sun, but he estimates where the ball will land and stops it from skipping by. Carlson is forced to stop at second. Had he been able to go to third, he could have tied the game on Jim Rice's ensuing fly ball. But now it's 2 outs, the tying run at third. And wouldn't you know, it had to be Yastrzemski at the bat. Looks delivered his best, and Yaz popped it up.
Bucky, you had some thoughts out there at York. As Bucky told you, the Royals had confidence. They also had their ace, Dennis Leonard, pitching in the first game. And the Yankees had a youngster who just about 3 months before had gone back to the minors in tears, Jim Beattie, but he was ready.
Beattie and Ken Clay combined to hold the Royals to 2 hits and 1 run. A scorching Yankee offense took care of the rest. In the 8th, Reggie Jackson, now wearing his October Superman suit, stepped up with 2 men on. Ace reliever Al Roboski did his patented sight routine. Kansas City had acquired the Mad Hungarian for situations just like this. But Reggie took him downtown for 3 big runs. If anyone was psyched at that moment, it was the Royals. The Yanks won that one easy. The Royals won the next one, so the series resumed in Yankee Stadium for the best 2 out of 3. In the first game there, the 2 teams attacked each other like mad dogs. Catfish Hunter might have had an excellent outing that day were it not for one problem. George Brett. Brett is not known for hitting the long ball, except perhaps at Yankee Stadium. In this game, he hit 1, 2, 3 home runs, a league championship series record. Fortunately for New York, all came with the bases empty. But the Yankees also had to deal with some other problems, like strange calls by the umpires. Remember this one? Mickey Rivers appears to make a brilliant inning-ending catch. Looks like he had it for sure, but the umpire said no, it was trapped. Fortunately, the Royals didn't score that inning. Tempers really erupted in the bottom of the 4th. Greg Nettles flies to left with 1 out, Piniella at third. Lou tags and steams home. As umpire Ron Luciano saw it, Piniella was out. It appeared this just might not be the Yankees' day. With old nemesis Paul Splitoff on the mound, the Yanks needed all the offense they could get. Reggie Jackson, now practically unstoppable, gave the Yankees enough to keep them in the game. This 6th inning sacrifice fly was Reggie's 3rd RBI of the day and put the Yankees ahead of George Brett and company 4-3. But the Royals snapped back to regain a 5-4 lead. Now reliever Doug was protected in the bottom of the 8th. A runner at first. The ball took off for the deep gap in left center, dead man's alley, and just kept going. A 460-foot blast by a guy who had hit only 6 homers all year due to a banged-up shoulder. That won a very tough ball game and gave Yankee fans every confidence that their team would now win its 3rd pennant in a row. And why not, since they now needed only 1 more victory and had Mr. Guidry on the mound. He pitched with savvy and guts, but needed help. Mickey Rivers gave him some. So did Greg Nettles. And then Thurman Munson, nipping speedster Willie Wilson. Clutch Yankee defense helped hold the Royals to 1 run. Greg Nettles got that run back with a 2nd inning home run. And in the 6th inning, it was old reliable Roy White, who did what he's done so often in the past, a clutch homer to put them ahead 2-1. One last hero remained to clinch a pennant. Goose Gossage relieving Guidry in the 9th with nobody out. The potential tying run at 2nd. The Goose got 2 quick outs and finally put away Pete Lecoq for the 3rd. And that was it. Celebration time again in New York for for the 32nd pennant in Yankee history.
These Dodger fans came hoping that the miracle Yankees and their new manager, Bob Lemon, could finally be stopped, and that 1978 would bring redemption for their Dodgers and Tom Lasorda. Captain Davy Lopes and his teammates brought a special determination. They dedicated it to the memory of number 19, Jim Gilliam, whose 26 years as a Dodger player and coach had ended with his death only 2 days before the start of this World Series. The fact that second baseman Davy Lopes had an outstanding playoff series against the Phillies with 5 extra base hits was not surprising. Manager Lasorda and many Dodger fans believed that Lopes was the ignition that made the Dodgers go. But now at age 32, Lopes had found some new power to go with his speed. When Lopes launched his second home run of Game 1, he proved that sometimes he was not only the Dodger ignition, but the accelerator too. He knocked in 5 of the first 6 Los Angeles runs, and the Dodger fans made no effort to hide their feelings about that. The Dodger fans were hungry for vindication from the year before, and they let their captain know they wanted more. Meanwhile, the reconstructed left arm of the bionic Tommy John kept the Yankees under control. 18 of the first 23 putouts were ground balls. Working on his second straight postseason shutout, John gave up only 2 harmless hits over the first 6 innings. He threw a lot of ground balls. With a 7-0 lead, John seemed unbeatable, but Mr. October, Reggie Jackson, had singled in the second, and Tommy John knew that his big lead could disappear quickly against these Yankees. John got a 3-1 pitch up. He knew it was gone. Jackson had touched one off. The distance of that home run seemed to embarrass Tommy John. But the moment belonged to Reggie, who had now hit 6 home runs over his last 4 series games, breaking Yankee immortal Lou Gehrig's World Series record. When Tommy John weakened, left-handed reliever Terry Forster came in to strike out 3 of the 5 hitters he faced. He ended it with back-to-back strikeouts of Paul Blair. That's not a smile, that's pain. And then Forster got Roy White. With an 11-5 victory, Tommy Lasorda, the leader of the Los Angeles Huggers, was happy. His Dodgers now led 1-0. Game 2, Dodger Stadium, where a healthy Catfish Hunter is a different pitcher than the man the Dodgers beat last year. He coaxes a 2-1 lead into the 6th as he pitches against an old nemesis, Ron Cey. The Penguin. And there it goes. Davy Lopes tells us all that it's a home run. With his 3-run shot and an earlier single in the fourth, Say knocked in all 4 Dodger runs. Hunter pitched well, but tonight, Say owns Hunter, and seemingly that's enough. Except that the Dodgers starter, knuckle curve ace Bert Hooton, was in constant trouble. In the 3rd inning, Jackson's up, Thurman Munson's on first, and Roy White is on at second base. Jackson doubles to right. Reggie Smith boots the ball. Both runners score. But the Yankees wouldn't score again until the 7th, when Hooton finally tied.
How you throwing, Happy? Throwing good. I just trying to get the ball down that time. Still throwing good. You're still throwing good, huh? 2 or 3, yeah, well, that's a fact. It's only natural. We're bringing that in for series, I guess. Beg pardon? We're just bringing that in for the series. You guys can all stay here all I didn't know the rule on that. What is that? You didn't. I say that. Yeah. How's your brother Stats, go? Stats? Yeah, Hatch, yeah. You want to be a pitcher? Well, I haven't decided yet. Okay. I mean, this is the World Series. You got to give me a little time. I got to make a decision here. But what do you think I should do? Take him out or leave him in? All right, I'm going to take him in. Who? Forster, the left-hander.
George Eckerman coming in the pitch for the Dodgers. Number 51.
A Yankee run in the 7th makes it 4-3 Dodgers. Now it's the 9th inning, and Bucky Dent opens with a single. And then with 1 out and men on first and second, enter Bob Welch, a 21-year-old hard thrower, just 1 year off the college campus. And after Munson lines out, Reggie Jackson digs in. A classic 9th inning confrontation. Bucky Dent poised at second. Paul Blair's at first. 2 men out. And Mr. Cool, the kid with only a half a season in the majors against Mr. October, a 12-year veteran. It's heat against heat, power against power. Down he goes. 9 pitches, 4 foul balls, 6 minutes of classic drama. Welch against Jackson. Strike 3. The Dodgers win it 4-3. Happiness, ecstasy for the Dodgers. Anger, frustration for the Yankees. And yet, even 2 games up, there's still that stadium in the Bronx, 3,000 miles away, yet to conquer. Baseball fever. From the West Coast to the East, 40 million fans came out to the ballpark to catch it all year. And in New York, Yankee fever was still alive. Over 2 million fans witnessed the incredible comeback all season. And now everyone wanted to see if the Yankees could do it again. A Yankee legend, Joe DiMaggio, throws out the first ball. Down 2-0, New York fans hope for the kind of comeback that has become the trademark of the '78 Yankees. In Don Sutton, the Yankees faced a pitcher with the most wins in Los Angeles Dodger history and a perfect World Series record. But a Yankee veteran with a new lease on life was out to change that. And there she goes, a home run. In a day of free agents and changing faces, Roy White has spent 14 years in Yankee pinstripes. His homer in the first off Sutton was a reminder of just how much this quiet man has meant to the Yankees over the years. And with a 25-3 record, Ron Guidry had the greatest single season of any pitcher in Yankee history. But in Game 3, Guidry and even Dodger hero Davey Lopes were reduced to supporting players when the Yankees, Greg Nettles, gave a clinic on the art of playing third base. Watch this. His acrobatics robbed Los Angeles of several hits and possibly some 7 runs. Nettles performed his whirling dervish act not once but twice with the bases loaded. Dodger manager Tom Lasorda said after the series, if the Dodgers were supposed to win, God would have made Nettles sick before the 3rd game. Yankee manager Bob Lemon said, in 41 years, I've never seen anyone play third base better than that. Nettles did it when they desperately needed a win, when Guidry, by his own admission, left his fastball in the bullpen. Houdini couldn't have done it better. It's said the test of a great pitcher is to win without his best stuff. Well, the Louisiana Lightning, Ron Guidry went the route while walking 7 and striking out only 4. But the Yankees won 5-1 and now trail the Dodgers by only 1 game. Before Game 4, a low-keyed Greg Nettles looked human after all. But the fans, especially his wife Ginger, wouldn't let him get away unacknowledged. Thanks to Nettles' magic glove, the 75th World Series had taken on a new dimension. But Tom Lasorda was determined not to let it bother his players.
Aggressive and determined, that's all. Good luck, David. Have a good day. Come on. Let's all have a good day. Something good is going to happen to you.
When the dangerous Reggie Smith came to bat in the 5th, with Lopes on at first base and catcher Steve Yeager on at second, Lasorda sounded like a prophet. Ed Figueroa might even say fortune teller, because something good did happen for Reggie Smith. Smith ripped Figueroa for a home run and a 3-0 Dodger lead. Could it be that Big Gun Smith and Steve Garvey would finally get started? Regardless, with clutch pitcher Tommy John holding the Bronx Bombers, it looked like Smith's opening shot just might be enough. Certainly, Dodger infielder Ron Say's work at third base helped. Greg Nettles might have a patent on his magic act, but Say showed them some tricks of his own. Since the Dodgers' play at short and second had been less than spectacular, Say's play at third base and Steve Garvey's at first base were critical. The Penguin gets the job done. The Dodgers held their 3-0 lead into the 6th, thanks to Tommy John's ability to throw ground balls, as Casey Stengel would say. But then White singled to extend his postseason hitting streak to 9 games and Munson walked. And now Jackson, who had hit a Tommy John fastball over 400 feet in Game 1, was the batter. And when Jackson stroked a clean single to right, a determined Roy White scored, and the Yankees were on their way back. Reggie Jackson on first, Thurman Munson on second, and sweet Lou Piniella at the plate. Tommy John trying to hold a 3-1 lead. The stage is set for the biggest play of the series. Russell drops the line drive, gets the force at second, but hits Jackson with the relay to first, and Munson scores from second base. To Lasorda, the very act of Jackson standing in the path of Russell's throw constituted interference. National League umpire Frank Pulley ruled no wrongful intent, therefore no interference. The Yankees creep within a run. Thurman Munson at bat in the bottom of the eighth, one man out. Paul Blair at second, thanks to his single and White's sacrifice bunt. Munson hits a double to left. And Blair races home to make it a 3-3 tie. The Goose, Rich Gossage, whose tireless right arm keyed the Yankees' late season comeback, makes his second strong relief appearance of the series. He gets Dodger Reggie Smith and then repeats against Steve Garvey. Dodger wonder boy Bob Welch matches the Gossage heat. He gets Greg Nettle. A hurting Chris Chambliss gets the same treatment. And then it's pinch hitter Jim Spencer's turn. We've got extra innings, middle of the 10th, score tie 3-3. Welch fidgets because Jackson has singled, moving Roy White into scoring position. Jackson calls time, leaves the bases, goes to the dugout, and talks to Lou Piniella, the next batter due up. Jackson returns to first base as the partisan crowd pleads, Lou, Lou, Lou. Piniella, a good hitter, waits. White tenses. Piniella hits a high fastball. Roy White rounds third, and White scores the winning run, and the Yankees win the game 4-3. The team that has returned from the dead so many times this year has done it again to tie the series at 2 games apiece. Game 5 had to be the biggest challenge of young Jim Beatty's life. With 8 series hits already, shortstop Bill Russell put Beatty to a 3rd-inning test. And that man again, Davy Lopes, is on at first. Bill Russell gets his pitch, extra bases, and Davy Lopes, with great speed, is going to try to score all the way from first. The throw's late, and the captain scores to put the Dodgers ahead 2-0. Munson struggles to get his aching legs upright. There's nothing new here. The man's played hurt all year. You learn to play with pain. This symbolized the spirit of the incredible Yankee team comeback in 1978. Yankee players had to play with pain over a long season. talented reserves like Brian Doyle, subbing for the injured Willie Randolph, contributed to the Yankees team comeback with their aggressive play. It may have been the hard way, but it was working.
It wasn't really that close. You could have come in the other way, really. Make sure you're all right, Brian. We got plenty of time now. Get your breath.
Hurt or not, the Yankees never gave up, as Thurman Munson proved. Just when it looked like an injury might force him to the bench, the Yankee captain exploded with 5 runs batted in Game 5. But Munson had all kinds of pinstripe company today. The Yankees won 12-2 and bruised Dodger pitching unmercifully. It didn't matter who was pitching. 18 hits, 16 of them singles, a World Series record. Batting ninth in the order, shortstop Bucky Dent slapped 3 hits and continued in the World Series what he had begun in postseason play.
Attaboy, that's the way to go. The right man in the right spot. Attaboy.
And if Bucky Dent was pleased, then Jim Beatty had to be ecstatic. The former Dartmouth basketball star had come far since that June day when he lost to the Red Sox and was sent back to the minor leagues. When he threw out Bill Russell to end Game 5, he'd pitched his first complete Major League game ever and sent his team back to Dodger Stadium with a 3-2 series lead. Back to L.A. for Game 6, where over 3 million Dodger fans caught baseball fever during the regular season and established a new attendance record. Former Dodger great Duke Snider and these fans honestly felt their home field meant salvation. A lot of people thought the Dodgers would cuff Catfish Hunter around one more time. And no better place to start than with Davy Lopes leading off. And there she goes. A home run for the Dodger captain. And the Catfish looked like he might be in for a quick hook when Lopes homered before the capacity crowd had hardly settled in. They could only hope that their captain had finally gotten the Dodgers off on the right foot. But Catfish Hunter, like many successful control pitchers, was notorious for giving up homers early and then playing hard to get. Once he settled into his groove, the North Carolina farmer could still be stingy when it counted. But the Yankees had 2 big surprises. Brian Doyle, an unknown rookie when the World Series began, and Bucky Dent, who had suffered through an injury-prone, disappointing regular season. Although batting 8th and 9th in the order, Doyle and Dent produced 17 base hits. And defensively, they flat outplayed the Dodgers up the middle. No question. Who in their wildest fantasy would have imagined this? Beatty, even Hunter, unlikely heroes. But Doyle and Dent? They had manager Tom Lasorda talking to himself.
Who is that? Clyde Slater or Paul Wainer? Them 2 guys must have 7 hits between them. Huh? Who is that?
You could hardly blame Tom Lasorda, Mr. Optimism, for his disappointment. It had to be tough to see it all slip away for yet another year, and this time in front of his hometown fans. It was most disheartening for Lasorda and his pitching ace, Don Sutton. Quiet Bob Lemon was on cloud 9, and that smile is a major speech for him.
Damn, he did a hell of a job. Borrow your mirror, I'll come back and pitch.
which star shines brightest of them all? Is it Reggie Jackson, who got sweet revenge against Bob Welch by nailing a fastball to close out the Yankees' 7-2 win? Granted, Mr. October lived up to his name, but in his 75th anniversary of the World Series, who will forget the play of Greg Nettles at third base, Brian Doyle at second base, Bucky Dent, the most valuable player of the series, and the rest of the 1978 Yankees, the world champions for the 22nd time?